Hey guys, I'm so excited. This is Richard Veloz. I just have this opportunity to have this conversation with my good friend Carlos Nicasio. I know that this man has so much to give, not just to this young generation, but also in life. He loves God, very successful entrepreneur. So one of the things that we want to have this conversation about is, what is Carlos Nicasio doing? Who is Carlos Nicasio? Follow him all his Instagram, social media, and continue to just follow us. I really believe that this community talks about how to build wealth, leadership. You're very successful in all the aspects of what you're doing.
So Richard, thank you for having me. I would say in a nutshell, I spent the last 25 years studying leadership.
Wow.
And running in an international company that I built. Alongside that, I've spent, many years helping kids through our nonprofit Concrete and Canvas, and recently was named the president of Catherine's Kids,
Okay.
a special needs orphanage in Rosarito, Mexico.
Okay, awesome. So a lot of the things that you're building and a lot of the things that you would, if you were to give us an advice or just a principle, how to start. I always have this conversation with you is that I think I started late, and I think most of us, because we struggled growing up, right?
Right.
Life wasn't easy, especially the background we come from. But what principle, what guidance, what wisdom you would give somebody that's starting?
Yeah, well, the first thing is, what do you want?
Okay.
And the second thing is, why do you want it?
Okay.
So if you know what you want and why you want it, then I think that's a good place to start.
Okay.
You move from wish, wanting, and hoping
Okay.
to actually achieving what it is that you really want. So the deep question here is, why do you want it?
Okay. And I think one of the things that as Hispanic, and it's not pertaining just to Hispanic people, but in general, right? Our background is that, especially if we grow up in church, or our mindset is that's the struggle, right? Mm-hmm. How is it possible? If you're in church, they really taught you to be broke, not dream, don't buy anything, don't go to school because the rapture's coming. And not just that, but also the mindset of our parents saying confórmate con lo que tienes, just just be happy with what you have, right?
Yeah.
But how do you manage that, and how do you specifically, and not like I said pertaining to Hispanic itself, it's just the mindset?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think a lot of times if you are in environments that are scarce and poverty driven, the first thing you have to identify is like, if I'm adapting the scarcity and poverty mindset, does this serve me? Mm-hmm. And if it doesn't, how do I move in the direction where, biblical truth talks about abundance. Uh-huh. Jesus himself said, right, that he's called us to abundance. And so I feel like if you're in a church setting, language is key, right?
Language is key.
My thought has always been like, what is the mind of Christ?
Okay.
What is the mind of Christ? Like, what is he thinking? How does he think? Mm-hmm. Well, I discovered that the mind of Christ is essentially his word. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to know how Jesus thinks, read his word. Mm-hmm. And so you move from this scarcity, poverty mindset into this abundant mindset simply by declaring the promises that are in there. The declaration of promises that are in Scripture are not just there for no purpose. They actually have meaning and purpose. Mm. And so when we begin to adapt those things into the way that we live and think, everything shifts.
Wow.
Everything has to do with identity.
Identity. Mm-hmm. Okay. And how would somebody find identity? I mean, do you need a pastor? Do you need a mentor? Do you just, I've heard multiple people say, well, I just started reading the word but for myself, I mean, I read the word for so many years, but I didn't understand it. I think it was my environment until I actually kind of went beyond my environment that everything started to change, right?
Yeah, correct. So when we think about like mindsets, the way that you grew up, as you were describing, and the way that I grew up, society indoctrinates you to think this is the way life should be.
Oh, wow, that's good.
But the Bible God's kingdom is a different lifestyle. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So when you actually start living the way the Bible teaches us to live, your world will shift completely.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll shift away from society and the way that society has raised you to believe and to think. And so you have to understand that it's scripture that actually propels you into the success that Deuteronomy 8:18 talks about. It says that God will give you the power to create wealth.
Wow.
Another version says he will give you the power to be successful. And so if God is giving us the power to create wealth and to be successful, but society isn't doing that for us, what lane are you going to be in?
That's good. That's good. And like I said, I've since I met you years ago, right? I admire you because you're not just creating businesses. You're always active, doing multiple things. You're traveling the world. But one thing that really stands out, and I told you and I keep telling you, is the way you love God, right? You know, the time that you spend in your devotionals, the time that you kind of build this. And so would you say that all the success that you're gaining and doing and building, and what is the source of all this?
Yeah, again, Deuteronomy 8:18, my foundation is God's word.
God's word.
My relationship with Christ, that's my foundation. If that's not there, none of this is possible. I have to understand that everything that I've been able to do and participate in, it all belongs to God.
Okay.
I'm just a servant.
Yeah.
I just get to be a steward of it all. But I also get to create the world that I want.
Okay.
And so the life that I live, I've created it intentionally, right?
So you would say that people, if they're complaining that they don't have the resources, they don't have I don't think success is narrowly itself, being cars and so on. But if you have a limitation, even to like put food on the table, is that a cost because we're not creating the world that we want?
Yeah. So if you have a problem, there has to be a solution.
Okay.
Businesses that are successful are constantly bringing solutions to problems.
Okay.
So every problem has a solution. Most problems only exist in people's minds.
Okay.
So the problem that you can't provide for your family, that reality only exists in your mind.
Okay.
Because there's many ways to go get food, right? But if you have a problem and you don't have focus time to focus on that problem, think about it this way. If I have a sales problem, okay, and I want to increase my sales, if I dedicate 1 hour a day of focus time to solve that problem, guess what will happen? The problem will be solved.
Yes.
Right? And so the problem is most people don't know how to solve problems because they don't take the time to actually analyze the problem and find the solutions to the problem. But if you take some focus time, you'll solve any problem.
So you would say that the problem is not money, the problem is not knowing how to solve problems, right? And I've been saying this.
The problem is thinking.
Okay.
The lack of thinking.
Okay.
Because even myself, I take time. There's time in my schedule where it's just thinking time.
Thinking time. Okay.
Right. And so when in my thinking time, I come out with ideas.
So everybody needs a thinking time.
Everyone needs thinking time.
Okay.
Because the world is crowding your mind.
Is this what kind of related to Think and Grow Rich?
Probably.
Right?
Exactly. Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
And there's so many good principles in there, but we have to understand that there are moments in our lives where everything has to shut itself out.
Uh-huh.
Look at it this way, in your devotional time. How many distractions are always present in your devotional time?
Uh-huh.
Right? So like, if your phone is near, social media is going to be a distraction.
So what do you do?
Calls, emails.
What are the things that you implement to have that thinking time? Like, for example, you put your phone on silence. You leave stuff not near your.
Yeah. So when in my thinking time, I have a notepad and a pen, and there's nothing else on the table.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I just take notes of the things that I'm thinking through.
Okay.
And so that helps me, innovate. It helps me kind of polish ideas. It helps me think clearly through, areas of my personal life and also my business, where I need to do whatever it is that I need to do to, to take care of those situations or whatever's going on. Good.
So I think that a lot of the things that we're doing now and talking about leadership, you think leadership is necessary or just, everybody tells you go to school because if you go to school, you're going to be successful. But what's your thought in regards to, just in this aspect of it, not just school, but, just you mentioned it, right? Thinking, but what else would you recommend to have some kind of success, or how is success defined?
Yeah. I mean, there's different schools of thought, right? To that question. I don't discourage kids going to school.
Yeah. And you're educated, but right, and we both got a degree, but it's just like there's times that people, I believe that it's just what works for somebody might not work for somebody else, right?
Exactly. I personally know a lot of very wealthy, successful people who never went to school.
Yeah.
And there's other guys that did go to school and they're doing well too.
Yeah.
But it all comes down, in my opinion, does the person have a drive?
There you go. Does the person have a drive?
Do they have a drive? If they don't have a drive, probably the school route is the best option for them.
Yeah.
But there are some kids who have a drive and they're unstoppable.
Yeah.
And they're going after it.
There's all these young kids
and they
that
have
are
the right
making millions,
mindset, right? They don't have the maturity necessary, but they have the right mindset. They're unstoppable kids. They're going to go get whatever it is they're going to get, and that's just the way they're going to do it. And a lot of those people will be very successful, and some won't.
Okay.
There's a lot of aspects to business. Once you get into the legal side of things, like maybe some of those kids might not know how to leverage lawyers and know how to leverage accountants and CPAs and whatnot, but they'll learn. And the hope is that they and some of them very knowledgeable and skillful, and they get a lot of things right. It just depends, the personality of a person. You got to gauge this person's personality, this person's ability, their capacity. Like there's so many elements. There's some very gifted, talented kids, and then there's some kids who lack a lot of talent. Kids who are fast decision making, people, and they make good business decisions, and we all learn through this process. It's just you got to look at every individual and see where they at, where they're going, where they want to go, and so on and so forth.
So ending this conversation, a few years ago you mentioned there's 3 key words, right, that you kind of get from the book of Genesis. And do you know which ones I'm talking about? We've talked about this, the be, the do, and the have.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the principles that we find them from the beginning of creation, how our Creator put creativity in our lives, right? And I would say, let's close this conversation with these 3 aspects of how do you get to be, right? Because I think everybody in this time, they're influenced by culture. Everybody's trying to have, right? Everybody's trying to have, right? Have the watch and have the car and have this and that. But the biggest problem is that we're trying to be copies of somebody else.
Yeah, right. Yeah, so I feel like that's a good question and kind of conversation here, because most people need to have something to be something.
Ooh, okay.
And if I have this, then
I'm somebody now.
I'm happy, or I'm somebody now, right? And so in society, that's what society teaches you. You drive by a nice house, and I want that house, and you attain the house, and now you're happy. And the way that we were designed is I get to be before I have. I don't need to have a new house to be. I get to be the person that I am, before I get anything.
And B has to do with identity?
B has to do with your being, your
Okay.
beingness. This is my beingness, right?
Okay.
Like I'm abundant, I'm committed, I'm courageous,
Okay.
I'm joyful.
Okay.
Those are the value system. That's the value system that I choose for myself.
Okay.
I get to be committed.
Yeah.
When I go into a new venture, I get to be committed, but I also get to be courageous, because it might take courage to stay committed in a challenging environment that I'm going to be facing.
Wow.
I get to be abundant, not on my next sale, but even if I don't have a sale.
Okay.
Right? And so abundance is one of my values, because I get to be abundant in every aspect of life, health, wealth, whatever. And so joy, I get to be joyful, whether I'm feel joyful or not, this is who I get to be. And I choose to be joyful, right?
Yeah.
And this is why I have this value system. Is so your beingness is very important. Most people don't understand that. They are always looking for a short solution to satisfaction.
Okay.
And they're constantly chasing, and they're just in the rat race. But when you get to be before you experience, then I believe you're really living a fulfilled life.
Yeah. And then you say do, right? You be, you do. And I mean, there's times I call you and you're like up early in the morning, right? You're either late still doing, and I think people, it's, I guess the idea that we were taught years ago, you have to work hard to have something, right? And sometimes it's not just work hard or somebody mentioned, hustle and grind, but when you hustle and grind, you're not really being what God asks you to be, right? Because you have this idea that if you work really hard, you're gonna finally have something, right? But it's just really doing, right?
Yeah, so the word hustle for me, like, I don't use that word. Because hustle, I connect it to survival.
There you go. That's where I was trying to get to.
So hustle is a survival mode for it feels that way. Right?
Were we created for survival mode in the beginning?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
You were created for abundance.
Yeah, I think, and
the
even
earth is the Lord and everything in it.
Good.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So
stop trying to hustle and
hustle. Stop trying to survive. You weren't created to survive.
Okay.
Surviving feels heavy.
It's hard work.
It's hard work, but abundance feels,
Myron Golden said that when you don't have the Dr. Myron Golden mentioned, like, when you don't have the resources, everything's expensive, and the reason everything's expensive is because you're trading your time for money, right?
Right.
And you put gas, like, oh my God, it's too expensive. You buy a coffee, it's too expensive. You do this.
Anytime you say it's too expensive, that's a scarcity or poverty mindset. Because when you're in the, if you go, like when I was a kid, my mom take me to the store, and she goes, "You want chocolate? You want vanilla?" And I used to say, "I want both." She goes, "No. You want chocolate?
One or
one or the other."
Okay.
Right. And so this mentality, either this or either that, creates patterns in your life.
Okay.
And you grow up with these patterns, and they become part of your thinking, and they live in your subconscious, and your reaction's always poverty.
Okay.
Right. And so when you shift that, it's this and that.
Yeah.
It's not this or that.
Yeah.
When you start thinking about this and that, now you start to really step into abundance.
Okay.
And I had a friend earlier. I was having a conversation, and he says, "I don't know if I'm willing to take the risk." We're talking about making an investment in his personal development.
Yeah.
And I said, "Whoa."
That's my last question about investing in your growth. But you're doing, and go ahead.
So he said, "I don't know that I want to take the risk." And I said, whoa, stop. I go, "What risk?" I said, "This is not a risk. This is an investment." I go, because if you're thinking that this is a risk, what else in your life are you thinking it's a risk that isn't serving you and it's hindering your growth?
Okay, so you do, and then the lastly is you have, right? So that's just a pattern of, I mean, if you don't do, right? And do has to be with do what you know.
Yeah.
Solve problems. Is that correct?
Yeah. So it's kind of like you go down to the mall and you want something, right?
Yeah.
And then your normal natural pattern is, in order for me to obtain this, I have to do this.
Okay.
To have that.
Yeah.
Right. And then after I do this, I can have that, and then I get to be this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what I say is, you need to be, then do to have.
Okay.
It's the reverse.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
You get to be this, you get to do this, and you get to have that.
You can have that, right? Perfect. And then lastly, in the investment of people, coaching, developing, because there's things that you could be self-taught, but there's also people that are important. For example, for me, people that are important, it's I have multiple people that I invested into, and just trying to grow, right? One of them is Dr. Martin Williams, these conversations that we have and continually like mentor. I have, I was with Dr. Myron Golden, and you are the person, that Carlos Nicasio, that I have conversations and I enjoy, right? I call and I know your time is very limited, and when I call, but making that time, I mean, it's just, but people don't think that's important, right?
Yeah,
and you were just mentioning right
again,
now.
we go back to mindset.
Yeah.
Why they think it's not important is because they've never experienced, right, a breakthrough in their life where they can relate that experience to the importance of whatever it was.
And you've invested a lot into yourself, right?
Yeah, of course.
Mean, you're always reading, courses. And everything.
I mean, I'm a certified coach.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. So I am a certified business coach, personal coach, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
I'm a certified coach. And let's just put it this way. If I said, Richard, if you want me to coach you, I'm going to charge you $10,000. Mm-hmm. And you said, Carlos, I'm going to invest the $10,000. And with that $10,000 investment, let's say that month, you grossed $110,000. Mm-hmm. Would you think that $10,000 was a good investment of your money?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you've mentioned in the past, right? When you've invested in yourself, I think you cannot afford to invest in yourself. Right?
Yeah, that's right.
I mean, it's a must.
So in the explanation, it was very straightforward and very simple. Give me 10 grand, and you're going to create 100 grand, 110 grand for yourself. Yeah. You recover your investment, and now you're $100,000. More money in your bank. Like but are people willing to do that?
Yeah, I noticed, like, going back to culturally, right? Like, and I don't know if it's just in general, but I believe that a lot of the Hispanic people sometimes they don't want to. Like, for example, we do a lot of business in Mexico, and it's tough. People don't like reading, right? And it's this, I noticed that there's a lot of libraries that were closed because people don't like reading. But I don't think it's just in Mexico. It's all over the world. It's just people don't see the importance of investing in themselves.
Right.
So this is a great conversation.
Yeah, I mean, and you obviously, specifically in Mexico, because you're
working
with people there, every day. And so it's sad, but it's the true reality. Yeah. I've been in some environments where the instructor says only 3% of the world's population is in rooms like this.
Oh.
That means that 97% of the people will never make it to a room like that. And so when with the comment that you said, the people that are refusing to pick up a book and read it or invest in their personal development, they are the 97% of the people who will never create anything meaningful in life. And think about that. God didn't design us to live meaningful lives.
Meaningful lives, wow.
And so only 3% of the population in the entire world gets to be in a space where personal development is a constant thing in their life. Man, you need to be part of that 3%.
Yeah, I want to be.
Especially the young people. Like, I really, truly care about young people. Right?
Okay.
Those 18-year-old kids, first year of college, those kids that want to do something in life, is like, how can we, bring those kids and mentor them so that when they turn 22...
I found one that just turned 18 yesterday.
Yeah, did you?
My son.
So my question is, how can, by the time he's 22, how do we get that kid into real estate investing? How do we get the kid into... in a career that's going to create opportunities for him to do whatever he wants in life.
Yeah.
So that when he turns 30, the kid's worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. Like, how can we get, our Latino kids specifically to those levels?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of guys out there, very successful Latino guys, they're having conferences, trying to educate the Latino community.
Yeah.
Like, come out of your, not that there's anything wrong with it, but like come out of your agricultural thinking into the marketplace of.
But I know people that do agriculture, and they're very successful in the world, right?
What I meant by that was, like, my dad used to work in a field growing up, and his dad worked in a field growing up, and a lot of us Latinos, we have that history.
Yeah.
So how do we go from picking cherries and apples and and oranges
To distribute?
running $1 million companies.
Wow.
100 million, 80 million, whatever.
Yeah.
Like how do we take our generation to that?
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong
No.
with agriculture and
Yeah.
picking. Like, you know, praise the Lord for those people, and
Yeah.
they're hardworking people. You know, we can learn a lot from them.
Yeah.
But how do we create more?
Yeah.
And this whole idea of creating more is so that we can give more.
Yeah.
You know, so that we can finance projects around the world that are caring for those who need,
Yeah.
you know, to be cared for. Like, for example, myself, you know, as a president of Catherine's Kids USA, I have 11 kids under my care and my team in the U.S. and Mexico who are caring for kids with special needs,
Yeah.
from cerebral palsy to you know, Down syndrome to you know, just different you know, needs that these kids they need help.
Yeah, and I have my my nonprofit TFI, Transforming Families International. No, we do this on a monthly basis, helping. I have 15 elderly men and women that we're helping them, right? Because there's so many limited resources in Mexico, and then we're doing projects around the world trying to always help people, right? And empowering them with classes, but also financially. So, hey, you know, thank you so much, Carlos, for this opportunity, this interview. It's great, and I want you to continue following this community and everybody that is connected. Thank you once again for watching this video and joining us. I really believe that these conversations are great, and we talked a little bit about Hispanics because we are Hispanic, but I don't think it's limited to Hispanic only. It's actually it's whoever really wants to grow, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And this is one of the things that I really believe, that you don't just grow and you build and you forget the source, and the source is God, and God has given us all the capacity and creativity to do what we're doing. So thank you once again.
You got it.
Thank you. Blessings.